Thank you guys all for coming in here today. I'd like to start off with any gratitudes, any wins, anything that's happened over the last week since the event. Have we reconnected since the event yet? I'm lost with days and everything going on. We haven't reconnected since then, right?
Had one training.
Did we have one training since? Oh yeah, that's right. So we've already talked about the event. Any wins anybody like to share over the last week? Yes.
Brandon came with me on a listing appointment and we buckled down and got it done. We got the listing and the buyer side, so it's a big one for me, and thanks to Brandon for always having everyone's back here, so.
Very cool.
Congrats. You did everything perfectly. And you initiated that, you created the relationship. You had the guts to ask him for an opportunity to sit down in front of him when he was thinking about selling and buying it. Most people wouldn't do this, including myself. I don't typically have the courage to put myself in those positions that way. I usually wait till somebody asks me. So it's sometimes it's good to not know any better and just do it, you know. But I know it's more than that. I knew you were intentional because you asked me about it ahead of time, and just awesome to see it come to fruition. And the time you brought that up, about how long ago do you think that was when you had mentioned this particular client?
I think about 3 months, 4 months.
About 3 months ago?
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds about right.
3 or 4 months ago. So 3 or 4 months ago is when you brought it up, and it takes time before people are actually ready. So I actually asked somebody last night as I was trying to prepare for today's class. I said, what do you think agents need to learn? The one word that came out was patience. Just having patience. I was like, interesting. Okay. So, but what I think she really meant by that is understanding that people have to do things on their time. And a lot of times we as sales agents get the impression that we just want to commission them with pushy. But when you focus on what we talk about with human connection and relationships and people, and always doing what's truly best for them, like truly separating yourself out of the equation, it's huge. And so there's a way in doing it that you can still lead people, but you can still be patient and detach yourself from the outcome and be the leader they need you to be, not somebody who needs a paycheck, right? It's very hard to do, especially when you need the paycheck. But it's something we have to teach ourselves, right? Learn how to lead that way. So just great job with that one. Yeah. Any other gratitudes, wins? What you got, those, Ken?
Grateful for my partner. Nobody down here, real estate partner. No, I'm obviously I'm grateful for my health. After going through something like, what I've gone through every day, I'm appreciative of my health. Most of all, I'm appreciative of my family. Scary times all the time, every day, so you always I sent my daughter to college, dropped her off in the lion's den, a bunch of drunk fool guys, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? But no, I was telling my son how proud of I picked him up from soccer yesterday. He's a little man now. He's going to be getting his license next week. And I said, no, I want to tell you how proud I am. Like you're such a good kid, and all of you, your brother, and as the way you guys interact with each other. And I made them promise. I said, regardless of what happens with you guys fighting, someone's having a barbecue, you're inviting them, no matter what. And they call each other, they care about each other, they always like buy things for each other. So I'm proud of that, and grateful for that. So that's about it.
Cool. Awesome. And grateful for Stephen Harvey over here taking the lead and left a brokerage, made a big decision. That's the only brokerage you've been with so far, right?
Yes.
So we've known Stephen for some time. He's a good man, good father, and we know you're going to do great things with us. Sean's a good one to chat with and talk to in terms of his journey, what he's overcome. That's the beautiful thing about what we do is we don't realize how we can impact other people, other agents, other fathers, other mothers, in terms of creating a new life that is amazing through real estate. You know what I mean? So it's an awesome thing to be able to find purpose in. And welcome. You're gonna do great here. We're excited to have you, and thanks for believing in us and wanting to be a part of this team.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Of course. Anything you want to share in terms of gratitudes or
I was
wins?
grateful my kids actually come to me for whenever they have an issue or problem.
Cool.
Even though one's off in the military, the other one's gonna graduate this year,
Uh-huh.
and then the little one. It's just amazing just to have that kind of relationship with my kids.
I want to thank your son for his service as well.
Thank you.
And that says a lot about you in terms of, how you brought him up. So thank you. That's big. Any other gratitudes, Juana? You got anything? Anything you're grateful for? Any wins?
Wins, I have a showing appointment this weekend,
Congrats.
so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Show an appointment. You mind sharing a little bit more? Like, did it?
Met them at the open house. I called them on the way here because I was stuck in traffic, and so we're gonna go see homes this weekend.
Great job.
Yeah, I
That's
just
awesome.
met them this Sunday.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you reached out today.
I reached out the day after just to
Monday.
thank them for
Ah.
going to the open house, and I called them right now.
Cool. So you just texted them yesterday and then called them right now?
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, great job with the follow-up. Great job in doing it right
An
after.
appointment tonight too. Don't forget.
Yeah, yeah,
Another appointment tonight too.
yeah.
Another one. Now you're doing great. Good job.
Thank you.
Keep it up. Anything, Amome, any gratitudes, any wins that you've had over the last week?
So a win probably was I did an open house on Sunday with Lachelle.
Uh-huh.
Sunday, yes. And we had about 3 different people we can follow up with. One of them was Spanish speakers, so I followed up in Spanish to chat to them, see if they want to follow up. And we're trying to set up a meeting for Thursday with a couple who came through. So we'll see how that goes.
Congrats. That's awesome. Making good steps in the right direction. That's awesome. Keep that.
I'm grateful for really is simple, but it's life. My daughter was in a car accident a few days ago
Oh.
and I wasn't here to be with her. So it was kind of shocking. And I went to see the car yesterday, it was total loss. And I was like amazed how, we have this, God, it's everywhere. And we're we're very grateful. Last night we prayed and we were like, it's, sometimes we take life for granted.
Mhm.
And it's just the simple things is in life can go like that in 1 second. But we need to appreciate and try to always be focused on what's important. And it's health. It's your health, it's your mental health, it's your stability, it's your family, and the people who are closest. I mean, sometimes friends are your family, or your work environment is your family.
Mhm.
So we need to appreciate that and be grateful for having always the guidance of God, of that special force that it could have changed in a millisecond. So yeah, it helps you to go. Sometimes you need to go through this shocking experiences to value it even more.
Thank you for sharing that, and I'll definitely be praying for your daughter, and she had angels with it.
She's perfect condition. She said, Mom, I don't care about the car. It's like, look at me.
Right.
And she had like a cross in her black compartment that she's super disorganized. I'm like, see, that was important. I'm like, I know. She's like, so it was very special.
Thank you for sharing that. Sean, you already shared yours. Anything else you want to share?
Good. I mean, grateful always my kids, my wife, like my extended family. Couldn't ask for, just a better situation at home as far as everything goes. My wife for being able to have a full-time job and allowing me to change careers and, just dial in and get this done. So that's big for me. I know we all have our own stuff going on and it's just like, you gotta put it aside and just do what you have to do for your family. So
That's awesome. Good job, Sean. Thank you. Lisa? Yeah.
I just probably what I'm grateful for right now, a ton of things, but my daughter, I just moved up to Cal Poly like Ken did, and just being able to spend just her and I 2 days together, and seeing, I'm so proud of her and just the growth in her, and I miss her terribly and already, but So yeah, I'm grateful for our relationship and that, and all my kids, so that's what I'm grateful for.
We got some pretty awesome mamas in this place, and no, I
Thank you.
met your daughter. She's very special, so can't imagine how hard it is. I get teared up just thinking,
Yeah,
about that relationship and just how fleeting the time is.
it's hard coming home and you're like, what do? Your whole life, you're dedicated to your children. Or at least I have, and then coming home and you're like, I don't even know where to sit. What do I do? Am I cooking dinner? Am I not? Like all these things but it's, I'm trying to see, okay, now it's time to I have more time to dedicate toward my career and more time to, do the things that I want to accomplish, so that's what I'm grateful for.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. April, any gratitudes, wins that you
Yeah.
have?
I mean, I always write, thank you, God, for being born in the United States. I'm just, overwhelmed by gratitude for that. Obviously, my family, their health, my health. I had a health scare, which was, a diagnosis that was like, blessing and a curse because it really brought into perspective just what's important and not to take your family for granted, your Lord for granted, health obviously. My goals, so I did about 5.5, maybe I'm working on my 6th transaction for the first year that I did real estate. I want to double it next year. I want to pay off my debt. I have a win. I started working at my daughter's school 2 days a week for 6 hours a day. And in all transparency to help me cover the cost of her school. And I'm thinking, well, shoot, I'll be there. I'll be, working with a lot of new people and teachers and parents. And one of the teachers came up to me and was like, hey, I want to talk to you. My husband's retiring from the military. We're going to finally be able to move off base. Can you help us start and look for a home? And I was just like, as much as I grumble about, oh man, I gotta be there at 8, I'm not a morning person. But God is good all the time. And even through my discomfort of being there and, running around for that whole 6 hours and just feeling uncomfortable, I'm reaping the rewards, as he always does. And it just reminds me of, be uncomfortable, do things, for the good, and he'll take care of you, and he always has. So just so grateful.
You're putting yourself in the right spots to be able to serve, to be able to help other people out. And Ken taught me very early on that there's no greater thing you can do for somebody than help their kid, right?
Yeah,
Like it's one of the most powerful things. You don't do it for that,
right.
but it's recognizing and realizing the impact that you have on other people's children is one of the biggest places of service, whether it's teaching, coaching, however you do it, goes a long ways. The listing and purchase that you're going to be working with. I got to meet this family, sweetest, most wholesome family. And before Sean got there, Sean thought he was going to beat me there. I actually got there a little bit before him, surprisingly.
I was waiting for him outside.
All right.
It's gonna be late.
Yeah, well, I thought it was going to, but my navigation is horrible with the time that it estimates on there. And so I gave him a heads up. But when I did get there, I got to speak to the family a little bit before Sean got there. And I said, so what kind of coach is he? Like, I'm trying to get dirt on him, right? And I'm hoping they're gonna say like he's crazy, he yells at the kids, he does. They're like, to be honest, he was awesome. He was so good with them. The league was trying to get more competitive and be all about winning. And Sean and I were like, these guys are crazy. Like they're 6 years old, like they're little kids. Like just let them have fun. But he had the right attitude, right approach. He led, a group of kids or led families. Coaching's more than coaching the kids. It's all the families that are involved in it, right? The parents, It's usually the funnest part of coaching is the parents that you get to meet, that interact with, right? But it's, you guys are putting yourselves in positions to win. And it doesn't come instantly, right? You mentioned 3 months ago, I actually think it might have been longer than that,
Might have
he
been.
brought that up, right? It was probably closer to 6 months ago.
Maybe.
But he kept coming, he kept showing up, kept learning, kept growing. Even as afraid as you may be, where you're worried, like, I don't know how I'm gonna make this work. It's this faith that you have to have in yourself. It's a faith that we, you know, everybody has different beliefs, but many of us here believe in a higher being, believe in God, and we believe there's purpose there. We're here to do something good. So, you know, if you're in alignment and you're doing those things, then the answers start coming to you. And it comes in your own voice. You think it's a hunch. You think it's just an idea that came to you. Have your journal out, write it down. That may be the message that you're supposed to get that day. For whatever reason, we don't know, right? We don't know why that idea came to us. But what you should do, and again, another thing that a great mentor partner taught me is you act on it. You don't wait. That name comes to you, you act on it, you call them up, you reach out. Even if they don't pick up, you leave a message. There's a reason that person or that idea is coming to you, right? So these are all just so important things to learn, as simple, as subtle as they can seem. It gets missed because we're so caught up in all this other noise. And we got to take a time to really just think, right? And plan and execute and have goals, and not just take whatever we can get. We don't want the crumbs. We want what we want, whatever it is. And you got to be very clear about that. So it's said many different ways, but the common core, that's why we write our gratitudes and we write our goals. You have to be grounded and you got to be clear. And I have to remind myself in terms of my goals constantly. And it's like, because it changes. But does that mean I'm just drifting? I know where my heart is. I know where my focus is at, right? So got to work towards those things. Ken, anything you want to add to that?
No, I'm always thinking every day, like, what is God trying to tell me? I really do. I pray every day, I pray every night, and I always like. In our positions, we have to deal with a lot of things that we're responsible for, a lot of things that we try to do. And our kids are spread out, they're all becoming they're getting their own identity, and we are getting hit with all sorts of news on our business and politics and religion and and at the end of the day is we're human beings. We're all human. And we need to treat people like humans, regardless of everything. And I told Brendan this, I don't like, I'm a cut guy, and when I give charity, I don't talk about it. I don't like it because I want to make sure I'm doing it for the right reasons. I don't want people to look at me and go, oh, look, I just put money. I don't like it. Whenever I do something, I do it discreetly. I'm going to bring it up, and I brought it up to Brendan for a reason, because we just recently are being bombarded with a lot of, stuff. People just, going through a lot. I'm not going to get into it, but I can take that and I can feel really depressed, and I can put myself in a corner. I can just drown in that negativity. But instead, I was going to an open house and I was running late. So I always have to eat fast food. Like I always have to, I'm running late, I eat junk. So I go to Burger King and I'm like, there it is, because it was right there. Actually, I was meeting you, I think. No, that was.
Yeah, you brought me a sandwich.
Yeah, the other difference. I've been there twice, same place, but it's quick. So I go in there and I see this guy, he's like sort of sketchy. He's at the bus station and he's wearing like a security uniform. And he keeps coming in, he's sort of talking to himself, and he walks back to the bench, and then he walks back, and I'm going, what is he doing? And I'm not gonna lie, like you're wondering, like, this guy gonna lose it right now? Is he stable? I don't know, whatever. And then I sit down, the place is empty. And he sits right in front of me, and he's on his phone, he's all, yeah, honey, can you get 2 pieces of pizza? and put them in a bag, and then meet me at the next bus stop, which is 7-Eleven. And he goes, cause I gotta go work this security at Notre Dame High School in the Valley. And then, you know, so he goes, I think the timing will be right if you meet me there. My bus is coming in like 10 minutes. So I'm watching this guy and I'm just like, had the utmost respect for his work ethic and what he was doing just to get by to do his day. You know, and having to get his kid to get him 2 slices of pizza so he would have food that night. Because everything's so damn expensive. I'm not judging him. I'm not going shit. Like, buy something. No, we don't have money. Everybody's hurt. It's hard. So I was leaving there. And I asked the guy, I said, hey, you still got the thing with the 2 burgers and this and that? And he goes, yeah. I said, I want to buy him lunch. And he goes, well, what does he want? I go, I don't know, ask him. And I just paid and I left. I didn't want to make him feel uncomfortable. I just felt that he needed to be fed. And what I'm getting at is if we're in a time where if everybody today passes the message on, instead of doing whatever or thinking whatever, do something good for someone. Take the time to do something good. Because you want to, not because I'm telling you to. Just because you sincerely want to help someone. And if we all started spreading that message, I think we would start seeing some change. But if we're relying on our leaders, our politicians, our people, and whatever the drama on the news is doing, that's not gonna have a good outcome. It's not gonna have a good outcome. We gotta look at each other within this office, and this is why we're here. We're supporting ourselves, and what are we doing? We're just talking. So we're talking about our gratitudes, and these type of conversations is 10 things on a piece of paper, but look at the effect it's having already. We're sharing, it's gonna start off our day in a much better way than watching Channel 4 News. Guarantee you that. I don't know if my story means anything to you, but I normally don't share things like that, but I did want to share it because I felt like I needed to do that. So just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thank you. That's powerful message, and it's not, this isn't just feel good talk or lets everybody feel good and try to act like everything's okay or be in this. When you hear positive mental attitude, you think it's like surface level, like, oh yeah, just smile, and you're really not happy. There's something more than that. And it's and Sean, if you're open to it, I'd like for you to kind of help me teach this class today, because you're with me and you got to see a lot of things, you know what I mean, and experience it firsthand, which is what you mentioned you wanted. And so I'm curious to hear your feedback, what your observation was with that meeting, because we're going to talk in the listing presentation. That's what I have outlined from last night when I was here late at night celebrating somebody's birthday party at Cronies, and found my way over here to write this up. And this is the outline. Should probably get a better spot than this. I'll move up to the front. I don't know if you guys can see it over here. So get this going. But it's more than when we have these conversations. One, we get in tune, which is important. There's something that Napoleon Hill talks about, Andrew Carnegie talks about, Henry Ford talks about, and it's understanding how to work in harmony and the power of that, right? So when Ken talks about how we respond, basically what we take in, what we listen to, what we hear, what we do, the intake is going to affect how you feel, how you think, right? Which is going to lead to actions and then give you different results. So if you don't understand how to protect your mindset, it's one of the most powerful things that we have to learn how to think for ourselves. You have to learn how to block out all the noise and all the influences. There's reason why people are trying to influence and take control and keep you stuck and keep you dependent and keep you to a point of just not accomplishing anything. Like what we talked about earlier, it's drifting, right? There's a book called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill that was kept secret for almost 70 years. And he talks about drifters. And drifters are people who are stuck, who don't take action, who will drink, who will smoke, who will do things for different reasons, who will eat that slows them down, right? all these different devices that we're told now, when this book was written, everybody smoked. Nobody thought anything about the health consequences of smoking cigarettes. That was a cool thing to do. There was no warning on the pack of cigarettes. There was no knowledge of it. But in this book, he has a conversation which he believes with the devil. He's interviewing the devil, and the devil's telling him, like, this is how I trap people. This is how I keep people from not becoming who they're supposed to be, to live a life of purpose, right? To live in this space where they're truly connected and doing the amazing things like Beethoven at 5 years old, already orchestrating music. You guys know Beethoven was deaf, right? And other people with other disabilities and other things that they shouldn't have been able to do things, but there was something inside them that had a greatness and a purpose to express themselves, which again, my belief is that's God's expression. So are we living that life? Are we doing those things, right? When we interact with people, is that what people sense and they feel? And how do we protect our mind and act in that space so that when you meet a family, like a family that comes in need, and they're going to interview you against other agents that they've been recommended from whoever, right? That you can step up to the plate and feel very confident, because there's two fundamental beliefs that you have to have mindset wise before you go on a listing presentation. What do you think one of those fundamental beliefs are? Stephen, do you remember us talking about that before? A moment, what do you think it is?
That they're gonna wanna do business with you.
I like that. That's a great answer. Any other fundamental beliefs? Yes.
That you're the best one for the job.
The number one thing is that you are the best. You're not second best. I'm a brand new agent. So how do I rank myself and how do I compete? You go into it knowing you're the best person for the job. April, how can you do that? Right? You mentioned you've been a part of 5, almost 6 transactions. How can you walk into a situation and know that you are the best person for the job?
Because if I don't know something, I have people that I trust and that I know will have my back and guide me.
So you have a mastermind.
Yeah.
You got people around you that you can count on, that you can work in harmony with, right? You have that, and you have that strength and that confidence, so you can be the number one agent. You can be a mega agent because you can call Ken, you can call any person, you can call a moment, you can call anybody in here and already tap into what they're great at, what their life experiences, what they bring to the table, right? That's powerful. Every single person in here should feel that. I try to keep it simple for people who are starting business. And I just basically say, everybody wants to prepare and not do anything because I don't know everything yet. So I can't be that guy or that gal, that leader yet. Your job's simple. You have to find, it's a tough thing to do, but your job's very simple. Find motivated buyers and sellers, right? You have to find them, and then you have to get in between them doing that transaction. And what I mean by that is where they see the value that they will benefit by using you, right? They're going to work with you and you're going to guide them through that process. So how do we do that? But if you keep the focus simple, that my job is to put my little feelers out everywhere, to have conversations with people on a daily basis, whether it's serving in the capacity at a school, right? Whether it's on the baseball field, softball fields, at a coffee shop. I went and took the coffee canister that was in here. I took it. He said, hey, if you can go, or if you can have somebody return it, because they dropped it off, delivered it for us. It's a past client of mine. I could have called the title rep. I could have asked a favor from an agent in the office and said, hey, if anybody's heading out towards Oxnard, do you mind dropping this thing off? Why do you think I did it? Personal connection. This is my client. This is their, like, just like I'm proud to bring people in here. This is what they built. And I'm embarrassed to say he's been a client for some time. It's the very first time I've stepped foot in there, which is I'm failing by doing that, but I didn't fail at this opportunity. Had another chance. So I go there. And not only, and when we had dinner right after his cousin who he referred me, becomes a first-time home buyer, single woman, 31 years old. real, just, she's got a laugh that is contagious. Let's just put it that way, right? Contagious laugh, but very sweet, very analytical, was very concerned and did down payment assistance. We celebrated her getting her first home, and it seemed almost impossible to help her do that at the time that we were doing it. We go and we celebrate it, and I asked my client the question, how's business going? And he's got a home in Dos Vientos, owns another nice home outside of San Diego County. They drive nice vehicles, very well-to-do family. Everybody always seems like everything's going great. He says business is struggling right now. And they have a great reputation. They got a great thing because of what's been happening with ICE, with people being concerned. So people are afraid and they're not going over to his place with his location in South Oxnard, and they're not spending money because they're afraid. So it's having a huge impact. So by me just asking and not assuming, he shares that with me. And so I tell him, we have our event coming up on Friday. I'm sharing these things because this is how simple it is to think of other people, ask them questions, try to serve them, try to help them out. The business is done. We're already done. The transaction is closed. But what do you do after that transaction closes? And if they want to break bread with you, as Ken also taught, if you guys haven't seen by now, I learned a lot from this young man over here, right? But I listen to everything he says. Whether I always agree or not, that's not, I don't put myself in that place. I'm not challenging what he says. He may feel that way, but I'm not. I'm listening because I know the wisdom, I know his heart, and I know what he brings to the table. That's why we are partnering together, right? But when he says, when you have the opportunity to break bread with a family, that's a very special place to be invited to. Now, I paid to break bread. I don't know if they were counting on that or not, but I did. And it was a great investment. And thank God I had the ability to do that for them. But if you don't feel, still join them. Still go to that dinner, right? Still be a part of it. They're going to see it. And that's a humble position to be in when you can't cover the bill, right? That's a whole nother light. And you don't have somebody feeling sorry for you. You create what's called a raving fan. A raving fan is somebody who loves you and will talk about you to every single person out there. And that's what you want to create. You want to create people who realize that you will do everything for them, right? You're run over because your partner forgets to leave the paperwork there with them, because I'm feeling guilt tripped by the 4 kids that are sitting around with big eyes looking at me, the oldest being 6 years old. And these were the best kids I've ever seen sit for an hour and a half with us having a listing conversation. It was amazing. These kids were great. And then I come home and see my kids. I'm like, geez, what are we doing over here, right? Like, and Danielle and I are having, that's another conversation. But it's all this stuff matters. Who you are, how you're feeling inside. And you got to be able to flip the switch. When you go on that listing appointment, all this stuff that's happened, you got to be able to flip that switch, be the number one agent. And the second belief is what? What's the second thing? So number one agent, nobody's better than you. What was the second one?
They need your leadership, or they need someone to guide them through this process. Like they are looking for somebody to help them through the process.
That's going to be part of the 4 pillars that I want everybody to know. And that's to consult and advise is the number one pillar. Okay. Something that you do. Yes, sir.
Nobody else is gonna have their best interest but you at heart.
That makes you the best, in my opinion, right? That nobody else has their interest at heart the way that you do. That's how you separate yourself from the number one agent in City X, right? If you're up against the number one agent in City X, but I got to come in that I'm the number one agent, right? It's because I'm going to care about them. I'm going to personalize our experience more than what a big team would do, right? They're going to deal directly with me. It's like a tailored suit. I'm a tailored suit for this client. How do I find that out? Right?
Add something to that.
Yes, sir.
When we say that, it may be difficult for you to understand what we're talking about because you haven't been in that position. But sometimes because you're new or you're trying things out, or you just haven't done the sales, you're feeling, well, how can I say I'm the best? And you don't believe yourself. That's a common thing that people will go to. They'll assume, okay, well, it's hard for me to tell someone I'm the best when I'm going against someone who's sold
30, 40 homes and they've been doing it for 20 years and I'm new. But that's not necessarily what Brandon's talking about. And I'll give you an analogy, like April, for example, if your daughter's best friend was dropped off to you, would you take care of that child?
Of course.
And how do I, like, how do I know that you do the best job at that?
I don't know. You trust me?
But what if someone was trying to bring harm or do something, how would you feel? What would you do?
I'd go ham.
You go ham, right? You go ham. And you're certain and confident that you have that
100%.
nurturing,
I would
that
feel
nurturing
Yeah.
protection like it's your own kid, right?
Oh, I treat my kids' friends better than I treat my kids, because they're usually respectful, polite, very, they're on their best behavior,
So you know that passion that you're feeling about that, right? There's a passion about that. And there's a certainty about that. You have to feel that way when you meet that client. You have to feel that you are gonna have their back that same way.
Yeah.
It's not about, maybe, it's not that you have tickets to go to Disneyland.
Right.
It's about who you are and what you believe in. And that you care about these people that greatly. So first is gonna be the nurturing aspect. And that's what that is. It's a nurturing aspect of it. People will want to do business. There's a reason why that person in your softball or the teaching right now that asks you, I'm gonna be selling my house. There's some likability or something that you said or did or acted that they found trust in you, just right off the bat. You didn't sell 50 homes, you didn't do whatever, but they feel that you're the best in that aspect. Second part is gonna be being able to prove and demonstrate your value. I'm not gonna keep going because I don't want to interrupt his class.
No,
But
that's perfect.
I just wanted to give you an example of the feeling that you need to feel, if that makes sense.
Sean, do you feel that the clients felt that you had that quality about you in terms of the certainty that she just showed in terms of if I send my daughter to her house, that I can have that trust and that faith that she's gonna protect them. If a situation happens, she's gonna handle it, right? Do you feel that those clients had that faith and certainty in you with us being there on the day we did the presentation, I think last Wednesday?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they saw how I treated every family and kid on the baseball field, and I feel like they had a feeling that that's how I would treat my clients as well. So they knew right off the get-go that I'll always have their best interests at heart.
Right.
And that being said, knowing that, I am newer, I had I knew to bring somebody in with me rather than try to do this on my own.
Right.
Because that is in their best interest.
Right.
It's in their best interest to have the best with me.
Right.
So
Thank you for saying that. And so it's number one, agent for the job. The second thing is that you can get the job done. That you have the ability to sell their home, not just list the home, but to sell it. Big difference, especially in this market. You have to be able to list and sell. So you did a pre-qual before. What was their number that they told you they wanted to list the home at?
925.
It said 925. And what did he share? How did he come up with 925? Do you remember?
I believe it was just Zillow.
Zillow?
Comps that I think that's where he came up with it.
Did he know of the highest sale in the neighborhood? Do you remember?
Did he?
He did.
I think he did, yeah.
He knew this guy
He
was
knew
highly
everything.
analytical.
Yeah.
He knew every sale that happened within that block, right? And so the highest sale in that neighborhood was what?
890.
890. So what did he agree to list it at?
890.
890. So there's a difference in just taking the listing, right? And I never once brought up, see, this is kind of the benefit with two people working together. He did the initial call. I told him what questions to ask. He asked them, as challenging as they were. What questions did you ask him before we got to the meeting?
I asked him if they had a price in mind already.
Okay.
I asked him if they're interviewing other agents.
Interviewing other agents,
I asked him who those agents were, which
right?
was the tough question
That was
too.
it, and he was a little hesitant.
He was
giving me the
hesitant,
names,
yeah.
right?
He was also hesitant giving me his answer on what he thought it was worth because he was scared it was gonna sway what our number would be, trying to match it, or, trying to show off and say we can get more than, what they're looking for, something like that. So he was hesitant to that. What other questions? I asked him what he's looking for in an agent ultimately.
What did he share with you?
He shared with me that he's looking for something that's complex, that this is gonna be a multi-layered deal because it's gonna be contingent on them selling their property. So he needs someone that knows how to solve problems, keep something together. He doesn't need an agent just to show him properties. He needs somebody that has a huge network to be able to reach out to other agents and get those properties that aren't even on the market yet. Yeah, so, I mean, and who better to
Give you
do
the
it than-
answer.
So who got the listing?
You guys-
Sean did.
Ding, ding.
No, do you hear everything he just said? When you can get an answer like that, do you think the other agents are calling and asking those questions before the actual listing presentation?
No.
They're not. You got to get the answers to the test before you take the test. But with that answer, which is an analytical answer, who likes processes, who wants to see, my job at that point, our job at that point is to educate them on what they want to hear. And we got to think of their brain and unanswered questions that they have in their head. That's what an objection is. An objection, which is everything you say either will draw them towards you or repel them away from you, right? This is how important words are. The way that we're dressed, the way that we appear will attract them to you or push them away. We have to be aware of that. We got to be aware of our tone, how we connect with people, how we speak with people, how we care about people, the questions that we ask, right? If it sounds like an interrogation, they're not going to open up. You also try to call some agents and try to get some information on some other properties. Did you connect with any of them?
As far as comps go.
Comps, yeah. The pending ones?
I mean, I was able to see two properties that were similar. One was vacant. And then there's one right across the street from them that's a little smaller, that's a foreclosure. And I was able to get into there and see
On their
the
street.
property before we had our appointment.
And they weren't aware of that. They didn't know it was on the market. He had already been inside it. How do you think that looks going into a listing presentation? You know, on the exact street, what's been sitting on the market at 825, again, they wanted 925. How powerful is that when he can tell them, oh yeah, they had how much in upgrades?
$105,000 because they had a flood and the insurance paid for all new kitchen, flooring, walls.
All I'm saying is don't underestimate him. And Sean has underestimated himself, and I'm just calling it what it is.
It's true.
It is. You were overthinking a lot of things. Keep it simple. Keep it to what you're strong at. And one thing you do well is you listen and then you take action. And you don't hesitate about that. You start calling. You start making the calls. Not everybody called you back, right?
No.
On the calls. He made a bunch of calls that they didn't call back. And that happens a lot of times, right? The other thing that you have to get good at is getting information from other agents. So one of the things I'll do when I'm calling, and what I wrote it on here, these are in terms of preparation. So what to bring: CMA 1-line report black, 3 pending, 3 sold. Why do you think I put that on there? What's missing off of there on the CMA?
Active.
Why do you think I left actives out?
So that's another agent coming up with a number that's not the market.
Oh, true.
Could that sway their pricing? If they see up the street that one's listed for $1.1 million, that's a similar model to theirs. So great leaders help people focus on the right things. That's your job as a leader. So if I limit it to 3 solds, what if I give them 20 solds? Do you think it's a little harder for them to understand pricing and pricing strategy, which is all important? This is an outline right here for your presentation. Now, did our presentation go in order of, did I start with the tap? Did I start tap dancing for them?
No.
And then do a blueprint and say, okay, today what we're going to do is we're going to go over 4 main things. First, we're going to talk about your needs, your wants, your expectations, right? Secondly, we're going to talk about what was it? Plan of action. What I do. See, I can't even tell you it right now. We're gonna talk about what we do to get homes sold, right? Third, we're gonna talk about the market, where it's been, where it's at, where it's heading. And finally, if you feel confident that we are the ones to work with you, we're gonna take care of some paperwork. Sound good? Okay, let's get started. That's just a quick map, right? So I did a tap. What's the tap?
Acknowledge and promise.
Thank, acknowledge, and promise, right? That's the intro. Why is this important? And we can spend 30 minutes talking about tap, and we've done it before, but why is tap important? What do people want? Remember, the wall is up. We've talked about this many times. We walk into this situation, even though you got a relationship, now you're coming in dressed in a suit, right? You didn't come in wearing sandals and shorts, right? You had your suit on. Have they ever seen you in a suit before?
No.
First time, right? It's a different environment. So do you feel the warm and fuzzies right out the gate? A little bit, but a little different, right?
Different.
Because now you're being interviewed for a job. They don't know me. The wall's definitely up on me. Who the hell is this guy over here? Right? Why did you bring him? Who is he? What's his goal? What's he doing? He's in our house with our babies and our kids and our wife. This is our safe place. And they're letting us into that. So you got to understand the wall's up, right? So we start with thank, acknowledge, and promise. And one of the things we always do is, what question do we ask before we walk into the house? Always take your shoes. Can I take my shoes off? Do they want us to?
Yes.
Yep. Either shoes off or booties. Remember, they got a baby crawling on the floor. They don't want you bringing dirt in. What if we just walk straight into the house? How does that start? Well, ghetto, but it's also, it's
respect.
it's disrespect. You're in their space. It could be a 600 square foot home, and if anybody, that's fine. That's their space. That's their kingdom. That's their home. You got to understand what we're walking into. All of this is important. Again, it's a dance. I shared with you, you'll see the dance. You're either getting closer and drawn in, or you're being repelled. I like what Ken says, that you already got the job, even though they're interviewing other 2 agents, you already have the job. But it's yours to lose, right? That's like already having an A paper until they start reading the rest of what you wrote, and then they start dropping it down to a B, to a C, and we're going down. But I'd much rather start with the job. I'd much rather start with the A than start with an F and have to work my way up, right? So what is our initial impression? And that phone call that you made is when the listing presentation started. Not when you met them, it was the phone call. And the thing we need to know is in a net sheet, right? Why is a net sheet important? What is a net sheet? Does everybody know what an estimated net sheet is? Have you heard of that yet, Omame?
No.
Okay, so a net sheet, Leslie, what's a net sheet? Why is it important?
It's important because it'll inform the seller of what they're gonna take away or what they'll net after the sale.
After the sale, after what expenses?
After, it's lined up with the purchase price,
Mhm.
minus all the closing costs,
Yeah.
commissions,
Commissions.
etc. Maybe miscellaneous reports or a buffer for repairs, some sort of allowance for repairs.
So, perfect. And then, so what do you need from them in order to be able to prepare a net sheet? What do you need to know? Their loan balance, their payoff. Not everybody feels comfortable asking that question before the listing appointment. Why do you think this, if I forget everything else, right? Which I'm not going to, because I'm very prepared before I'm going to step into this situation. But why is that piece probably the most important piece for me?
You need, what, the loan balance?
Loan balance, but the net sheet overall, what they're going to walk away with. Why is that so
Their
important?
number one.
Yeah, that's the main number.
That's what they need to know to make it a reality.
That's the only way I can fully answer every question that's going on in their head to prevent what the objection is. What's the objection? What?
Money.
Well, no, an objection means they're not going to commit. Yeah, it's an unanswered question they have in their head of why they don't know why they don't feel like they should work with you, or maybe they should interview other agents. But if I answer every question, I give them every assurance, the trust is there, the professionalism's there. Do they really have any reason not to work with you? They don't. You've answered all their questions. You've shown them that you're the expert. You created the value that Ken was talking about. They know that you're the best person for the job and you can get it done. So why would I interview other people If I already met Sean and his partner, whoever that is, right? And I already know they can get it done. Why would I want to? I mean, I could try to interview others, right? And we didn't know they actually already interviewed one other person beforehand. And usually, if I know that, I'm going to do more digging. And I'm going to say, all right, what did they share? What they have for price? And I'm not doing it to talk bad. Again, I want to know what's going on in their head because then I can overcome all the objections. What were we going to say, Ken?
Yeah, like the analogy I was giving you with April with that other analogy, there's also another analogy that is coming up in mind when Brian is talking about this. But when you go to someone's house, there's a pricing that they have in mind, and it's called the ego pricing. It's their ego pricing of what they think it's worth. Their ego's involved. Like, for example, if someone wanted to become a real estate agent, you would say, and they say, hey, I'm thinking about being a real estate agent. And I heard it's easy, and I heard I can make a lot of money. You'd go, oh, let me tell you, right? Like she's laughing. So misinformed, right? Not informed, and they have this vision of what it is. Same thing, I'm gonna start a business. And I'm gonna make all this, and then you go, well, and you start looking at it, you sit down with someone, they go, well, you got insurance, you got overhead, you got utilities, you got payroll, you got blah, 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 you know, shoot. And then you realize the reality. So it's your job to ask 2 questions at least to figure out what their situation is. So, number 1 is, why are you selling? Well, I got a job transfer. I gotta be in this place tomorrow, next week, 2 months, whatever. Okay, and you go through and you're talking and you're sharing, you're having the whole conversation. And then you'll ask something like, well, what would it mean to you? What effects would it have on you if it took 6 months to sell your home? What do you mean? Can't do that. I've got to be gone. I need my money. I need this. When you start associating time with money, it makes it a lot easier to discuss money because they don't understand the consequences of it not selling. And time is money. Same with, stress, anxiety, all that. So that's the mistake that agents do is they sit down and they start talking and negotiating price right off the bat without understanding anything about their needs and not explaining to them the process. Like, okay, I want to buy a business. Okay, great. Here, give me the money. And you go in and you're broke. That doesn't work. I want to be a real estate agent. But yeah, just take your license, you'll be fine. It doesn't work that way. So that's the problem. You're doing the same thing. Not you, but people do that. They go in there, and that's why you get these listings that are sitting there right now.
Right.
Because they're not looking at anything. They're not explaining to them. The guy looked on Zillow to get his pricing. And now he's talking to his neighbors. Oh man, I got this, I got 5 offers, I got that. Yeah, last year.
Yep.
Not now. So I'm just telling you that's the feeling you need to realize is you got to start associate. The questions are meant to be asked for a reason. So they can take their ego out of it and you humble them a little bit as they start talking, when you start talking about the consequences. And then they'll go, oh, and then all of a sudden, wait a minute. I don't care about 10 grand. I need to be over there.
So he's doing a few things as through his explanation. Everybody has a belief system. Everybody has a paradigm. He's shifting their paradigm. There's a way in doing that effectively and leading them by discovering and asking questions and knowing we already knew where his number was. And we knew where we wanted to list this if we were going to list it. So some of the things I say, and people have used it, and it's a good thing to say. And I'm trying to remember if I said it to them or not, but I know Mrs. brought up that she wanted somebody she could trust. She wanted somebody who was going to tell them the truth, right? She brought those things up. So I made it very clear as I look, that's one thing that we promise. When I say think, acknowledge, and promise, you cannot be afraid to promise. Your promises and your convictions are going to be the reason why they pick you. When Tina was speaking up here, she shared about how you have to go in knowing the price. right? You have to know, you can't come in and give, well, it could do this, but it may not do this, and this market's been tough. The reality is I'm that gun shy agent. I am concerned. Even at that $890 price, I'm concerned. That was the top sale 3 months ago. Guess whose listing it was? The one who was on the panel, right? I know what she does. She stages, she goes all out. That house is as good as it can look. She'll spend the money, she'll equip it, she'll do those things. They got 890. They started at like 925, I think, and then they worked their way down. He already knew. He knew the whole history. He's like, yeah, started at 925, dropped down to 910, went out at 890. I had that printed out, the history to show to him to try to help educate him.
Yeah.
He already knew it. And he still wanted 925. So it was more than just Zillow. This guy knew what he wanted. But by the end, he agreed with us at 890. He agreed with us at that price. There was no pushback. There was no fight. You just have to be prepared and know how to communicate to them to get them to understand that. So I'm going to get into this just so we can see. So think, acknowledge, promise. You think of every presentation, you got to start with being grateful. Thank you for the time that you're having us over here to consider us to work with you to sell your home, right? Acknowledge, you're acknowledging their time they're taking out. I understand you have your kids and it's after nap time. I also have kids, right? So I get how stressful that is. My promise to you, and I didn't do this, but I did it in a way, just not as direct. My promise to you is by the end of this, you're going to understand the process more and figure out how you're going to make the most from the sale of your home. As well as we're going to help you figure out how to take the money from this and protect you so you're not left homeless with all your babies and get you into the home that you're looking for. And I already know from my experience, it is the hardest, most stressful thing for any family to go through is to list a home before they found their perfect home. Most stressful thing you're going to do. If you do it well, you make a lot of money in this business. If you find a way to master that story and explanation, you'll make a lot of money. So what are the forms that you have to master to be able to give people the assurance? What are the contracts? What are the forms that you need to know to be able to protect them on the listing side and purchase side in that situation? What'd you say?
Home of choice.
Home of choice. Well, what's the form? So that's the right contingency. She said home of choice contingency. But
The COP.
PRP.
what's that?
COP.
COP is when you write the offer.
Oh,
So on the buying side, it's COP. So write that down. On the purchasing side, when you submit an offer, there's a box that you check that says I have a home to sell to purchase this. That's the COP. What's the other one?
SPRP.
SPRP stands for what, Leslie? SPRP.
To purchase replacement property or something like that.
And what's in the SPRP, just kind of high level without all the details, what's in there?
It gives the seller a certain amount of time to find their home of choice.
Right.
It's been a minute since I've looked at one.
No, that's okay. That's it. Boilerplate 17 days, just so you know.
Yeah.
So you get 17 days to find a home of choice unless you put in 30, 60, 90, 6 months. Yes.
So what does the S?
SPRP's seller purchase of replacement property.
Thank you.
So you want to master that. If you're not going to the contracts trainings on Wednesdays that EXP World offers every single Wednesday, I think it's 9:30,
Great.
9:30?
9:30.
I want.
9:30 to 11.
Yeah.
It's great, right?
It's great.
Great teacher, you have to know your contract. This is like your toolbox. This is how you protect your clients. Yes,
Sorry, and what does COP mean?
contingent on purchase.
Thank you.
So just remember COP buyer side, writing offers, SPRP seller side, listing. If you don't put that SPRP in place, you potentially can put yourself in a legal situation where your seller has a change of heart. Now they have no out. That creates a good faith excuse out of the contract because they didn't find their purchase, their replacement property. So it creates an opening for them. If you don't do that, the way the contracts are formed in California is that buyers have many contingencies. Contingencies are good faith excuses out of the contract. You want to know this terminology. You want to be able to explain this intelligently to your clients. What is a contingency?
Good faith excuse out of a contract.
Perfect. That's it. That's the best description from an attorney. I picked it up in like 2013, 2014 when they changed the contract, which they'll continue to do, right? And they explained a contingency is a good faith excuse out of the contract. It's their protections. What does it protect? Your earnest money deposit. That goes into escrow, which is a what?
Third party.
Neutral third party, right? Goes into a neutral third party account. You have an EMD. We need to know what an earnest money deposit is. Okay, that's very important, and how that's protected. And that's typically what percentage?
3%.
Customarily 3%. You can do it as low as 5,000, 10,000 at times. I've done it in the past at $500, right? You can do it for very minimal, but it depends on what the situation, how long the home's been on the market. And if you're doing less than 3%, I should say if you're doing less than 10,000, you probably want to have a conversation with the other agent before you submit the offer, because you're likely going to get countered back. But if you tell them, hey, I got a VA buyer, they can do 100% financing, and we're asking for closing costs. All they have is 5,000 in their account. This is what they can do for their earnest money. They won't push it. If you explain it, then they may accept it. Just put it that way. Okay, gotten that accepted before. So we talked about the three pending, three solds, what you're going to bring. We've talked about what you start with. So you start with the tap, then you get to the map, right? Tap map, and you give the overview. Again, great leaders know how to give visions and say, this is what we're going to cover today. Then we talked about what's the next part, discovery, the questions that you ask to get the answers to the test, to make sure you answer all the questions of what's going on in their head. If you already done it ahead of time, you're better off, right? It helps a lot while you're there presenting. Then what I didn't get into is intelligent pricing, price versus value, and pricing strategy. We're not going to have the time to get into all the details of that, but I'll bring up an important thing to understand as you're speaking about price. What's the difference between price and value?
Value is much, in my opinion, as important as price or more important. Value is seeing that it is worth what they're asking, or you can add to it. It's hard to describe.
It is hard to describe. That's why we're going to practice. One of the things to get very good at is being able to differentiate between two things or compare two things, right? Great speakers, great leaders, great people who are very influential know how to do that. And that's what you want to do. You want to be able to influence and explain what is price and what is value. And if you understand this concept, your presentation is going to be a lot stronger. And I'm telling you, I've spoken to agents who've been doing this who are top agents, been doing it 10 years. And when we had that conversation, it was like the light bulb finally went off. And it's that, meaning you can do a lot of business without even understanding how to explain price versus value. But what it is sometimes hard to put into words. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I wasn't.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say, anybody else brave enough to give a shot at price? I saw Leslie first. Go ahead, Leslie. You already know? All right, let's go, mommy.
Okay, so I was just gonna say value would be what any reasonable person would want to pay for what they are getting. Price would be the cost that you would like to receive for said thing. But value is much more nuanced, which is what April was trying to say, because it's different depending on who is potentially buying or purchasing said thing.
Great way to differentiate the two, right? So, and there's more I want to ask you on value, how to increase value, and that may help describe it. But if to sum up what she shared, is price is more from the seller, right? The seller picks a price, correct? And the buyer decides the value. And an easy word to tie with value is what? On the buying side. What is value? If something has great value, what does it have?
Has what you want.
What is that? What's another word for that? It can have amenities, more amenities, creates more value. What else? This is important to talk about, especially in a listing presentation. What else creates more value?
We'll see if it has a pool and I really want a pool, that's gonna add value to me. But if Anissa doesn't want a pool, it's gonna detract value from her.
100%. So what is that? You're hitting on it, but what's that word?
Personable.
It is personable, but it's what you want. But what's the word I'm looking for? What do we?
Intangible or?
It's intangible, but it's
Desirability.
That's it. Thank you. Desirability. How much do you want it? So how, as listing agents, what's our job? What are we supposed to do with that?
Make it more.
Make it more desirable.
Create more what?
Value.
Create more value. How can you create more value? How do you make it more desirable? There's two ways you can do that. What are the two ways you can increase value, increase desirability?
Make it look good.
Staging.
Make it look good, stage it. What else can we do?
Price it.
This is on one
Price it.
category. What'd you
Price
say?
it well,
Price it well. What does that mean?
which would be price it competitively, so you will get the most amount of potential buyers interested in your property because they're getting the value that they're looking for, which is a great house at a great price.
Create a multi-offer situation.
Create a multi-offer situation. Is that typically, when you say competitively, define competitively?
At a price point that would open it up to more potential buyers, which is obviously what you're looking for. And that might then drive the price up because you have more people, like Anissa said, more people are interested in buying that property.
So if you ask the question, Mr. Mrs. Seller, would you rather have situation A, where we have more offers, more buyers, better buyers, all cash, more money down, or scenario B, no offers, sitting on the market for a long time, right?
Definitely.
And then maybe somebody coming in and lowballing and asking for more repairs and do, which one do you want?
Definitely.
You want A. So we have to have the ability to paint the picture with our words and articulate and ask questions to get them to self-discover, what do I need to do to be in section A or scenario A, right?
Yeah.
That's all value. That's all desirability. How do we increase it? There's two ways to do it. Price, lower or higher price? Lower price. What if it's extremely low? Can that take away from the value?
Yes.
Maybe. Could. In the real estate market, can it take away from the value? You think so?
Yes.
That's
I
okay.
think it depends, yeah.
So if you, so let's just say there's a home in your neighborhood. I don't know what they're going at, but let's just say a model to where you live came up at 300,000 on the open market in the MLS. What happens?
Bananas.
A free-for-all, a frenzy.
Does it? But I thought it lost value because it was at
I often
300,000.
wonder if someone was murdered in there or something.
You might,
Fire.
but do you think offers are going to come in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you think they are? Or do you think they're going to come in at 300,000?
No.
What are they going to come in at?
No.
$50,000 over.
It may come out over market value, right? Because now it's everybody wants it. So don't be afraid to go too low, right? This is in a normal market. Okay? It changes when you have more competition. It changes based on affordability, changes on a lot of things. But in general, you're safer going lower and putting it under market value and getting them to understand it's not what you listed at.
Yeah.
It's what offers you generate. We listed the home in the Heights at $1 million. What did we end up with?
120 over all cash.
200. Oh, well, that one was 120 over.
That one.
The
This one
Heights.
was 200.
200,000 over asking price, all cash, closed in 12 days. We did one set of open houses. It was within 6 days, 200 over and 30 days free rent back,
Right.
as is said. Oh, actually, we threw in, we didn't need to. We threw in $20,000 credit because there was an unknown on septic and there was unknown the windows were 100 years old.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
house,
it's
they
shut.
could have had everything. And we created 3 offers. The other 2 offers that they don't know were at $1,025,000 and $1,030,000. And they were at 212,000 over asking price. Do you get what I'm saying? So don't be so afraid or so worried if we're going a little bit under. What is our strategy? The only way you can undersell the property is if you sell it before it gets on the open market. Before you fully expose it. And in this market, you could argue to fully expose it may even be more than a week. But with that being said, you got to be careful because we're not in the kind of market. What I'm teaching you right now, this is a little bit more old market, limited inventory, right? Less competition. With more, you got to be careful. So you want to find I call the sweet spot. And that's how I price. So I come up with the number, but I have a range. So when I get my net sheet, which I said is the most important thing Tom Hopkins talks about, always have the contract out. Don't pull it out of the briefcase, right? Like you're already loaded in the gun as you go hunting. You're not gonna put the gun in as you go to hunt. The pen, the paperwork, these are your friends, right? These are all things that you have to be ready to close. To close, I gotta have net sheets. How many net sheets did we take to that one? 3. Took 3 net sheets. I'm gonna have a high one, which we already knew was their number at 925. Did they ever see that one? No, never saw it. I'm not sticking that one in their head unless it's necessary. Unless that's what I had to do to take the listing, but I'm not starting there. We're starting at our number, which was 890. Then what was the third one? Do you remember?
875?
840.
840.
The third one was 840. 840,000, which is what I thought the home was going to be worth before I saw it. But he also had some videos and some photos that he sent to me. So I know we're getting close to the end of time. I hope this is helpful in terms of what, believe me, there's so much more we can get into this, but you got to understand value and price. You got to understand how to articulate it. And then one of the things I want to wrap with is the 4 pillars, which, Anissa, what are the 4 pillars?
Oh, man.
Don't look.
I'm checking
Stop
right now.
look. Stop looking. What are the 4 pillars? This is, so 4 pillars is every great listing agent will always, everything that they do ties to these 4 pillars. Okay, and you can remember, see me, no. That means don't go to see me, right?
Come to see me.
C, the letter C, me stands for ME. What's that? Market and expose. C is consult and advise,
Yeah,
right? Me is market and expose. N,
negotiate.
negotiate the best terms, right? O,
Among me.
among me, oversee the transaction. Okay, so those are the 4 pillars. That's on the listing side. On the buying side, we still consult and advise instead of market and expose a property, which again, my sensei over here taught me that what our job is to do is to cast the greatest net towards buyers. And we do that by pricing it well, showing it well, some situations staging, doing it. You got to look, as he talked about, time is money. So sometimes if you tell them that they need to do all these things, you're never going to list the home. And now, as the market's correcting or coming down, you lost money when you told them to spend money. That's why I'm saying this isn't, it's not as, I'm trying to keep it simple so that you can start from that foundation. Then from there, you got to learn the nuances based on what kind of market we're in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, let me add 2 things.
Yep.
To what you're saying. So, number 1, until that house is sold, you're not a realtor, you're a marketer. You're a marketer. You're not a realtor. A realtor is when you're into the transaction with another person. Until that time, all you're doing is making the value, which is marketing. And that's your key should be to focus on how to market. But the other thing is, there's something called anchors. And a price anchor is something you got to be careful of. If you look at it, when you're working with a buyer, they'll always come to you and you'll say, well, commonly we'll say, what do you want to buy? And they'll say, well, I can't go over 900. And reality is, they don't even know what the payment is. Instead of negotiating a number, you need to negotiate a payment. So if you get someone that's stuck, so the same thing happens when you take a listing. So you take a listing and you go, look, I just want the listing. I'm not going to price it intelligently because I just want to win. And I figure if I just price it higher, I'm going to get it. That's a weak agent does. They go in there and they'll go, oh, I'll tell them it's worth more. And I'll try to provide information to get that. Then they list it. Well, guess what? You just put an anchor in that seller's head. That is the price that you said you would get for them. Anything less is what? A minute. What do you think they're thinking if you get less than what?
The anchor.
Less than the price.
That they're losing money.
They're losing.
I
It's a
lost
loss.
20,000. I lost
Yeah.
50,000. Now it's costing me 75. You got nothing.
Visa?
That is so
But
true.
that's their mentality.
Because if I could take just a couple minutes to kind
Yeah.
of address that, but, Bottom listing and see me, you guys know about it, it's kind of a source, it's expired now, right now. And when I went in, I was the second agent and the first agent was actually an owner of a brokerage. that lives right across the street. Well, my seller fired him and told him that he could probably get 1.55 for this house. So I go in and I'm like, well, it's, I kind of told him, you know, that seems a little high. Like I did my comps and this, I kind of brought him to, long story long, it's expired. And we were sitting, he only wanted to do like a 3-month, you know, I said, well, things are sitting longer. It's now 6 months. So I was like ready just to walk away because it's just been kind of a little bit of a nightmare because he refuses to lower it. I finally got him to lower it 60 grand. So anyway, it expired and there are 4 homes in the area. 2 recently just went under contract. I've called all the agents. We ended up, we're right now, when it expired, it was 1499, which was still a little bit lower than anything else, the other 4 that were on there. So I called the other agent that was a model match, but this agent was offering, or this other seller was offering to a VA assumable loan at 3%. So that was the shiny penny.
Is that desirability?
Yes.
It's value.
Yes, very, so model match, it was 1490. I called him and I said, what did it go for? He's like, I can't tell you. I said, did it go for asking? No. Did it go for lower? Yes. A little lower, big lower. He's like, a little lower. And so I said, okay, so that's 1490 model match. So now I know we have to come down way before, underneath that, right? So another house down the street, which is a little bit bigger, went active under contract a couple of days ago. Call the agent. Where are you at? I can't tell you. And I'm like, okay. So I said, did you get out? Same kind of question. So she said, I'm getting 2 offers. She's like, but I did call my lender and applications have gone up 9% in the last 2 weeks. So that's at I think it's around 1490 also. So now my seller called and said, I want to talk to you on Tuesday. I want to relist it. And I said, okay, I wasn't sure he was.
Well, let me ask you some questions,
Okay.
real quick. How have you felt this whole time in the 6 months?
Stressed.
Stressed?
Yeah,
Was it a lot of work?
a lot of work.
Has it kept you from producing any other sales?
Yes, a little.
Has it totally consumed you?
Probably yes.
Okay. Is your seller happy?
No,
Okay, hold on. Does he think you're doing a good job?
yes.
Okay. Does he need?
He didn't at first.
Does he need the money?
No. Well, he does because he's moving to Texas. So yes, he does.
He doesn't need the money.
Yeah,
I talked to that guy.
yeah,
He's loaded.
he is.
This is why it's called an anchor.
Right,
He's
that's
so anchored in
Yeah.
on that price that
Right.
you gave him,
right.
that anything lost, it's about winning and losing.
Right, and I didn't give it
It's
to
not
him.
about,
The other.
It was
it's
the
not
other
about the
agent.
money.
Yeah.
It's not about the money,
Yeah,
because now he wasted all that time.
he did.
He didn't get, you have to explain to people the consequences.
Yeah,
This is what's gonna happen. This is what you're gonna go through. You think it's easy to show your home and make your bed every single day?
no.
You think it's easy to have strangers in your house every weekend? You have to tell them, future pace, the misery of the outcome of that.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, that's when you're explaining those 2 scenarios, you're gonna say, are you prepared for the average days on market is 90 days, 60 days, 2 months,
You're
3
not just
months,
making it up.
without an offer,
He-
with
he
open
doesn't
houses,
need
with
the money.
showings.
It's a winning and losing, but you've made that price.
Yeah,
When you go to a dealership and you see the car, you say, I got a deal because I got it at sticker price. Anything under is a deal. Anything over, I got ripped off. The sticker price was stuck by the dealership. They never lose. But you psychologically are negotiating a number and you go out there going, I won,
yeah,
I won.
yeah.
And the
he's
reality
finally
is-
starting to see that because he's going to Texas. He's like, well, these houses are dropping. And I'm like, really interesting. You know, I'm like thinking, no kidding. Like, so he's now, unfortunately, I spent a lot of time with him at open houses. So I do talk and I try to tell him like, look, it's sitting longer. Yes, like, he knows it all.
Where's
So
he
you're-
so
you're-
attached to it? Is there an emotional?
It's yeah, I think there is. He's the original owner.
He's the HOA president.
Yeah.
Your game
So-
plan needs to be not just on the sale. Your game plan needs to be on the purchase.
She used the fire too.
So if you can,
Yeah,
Like it
before the interest rates drop, you have the opportunity to negotiate like they're negotiating on your home right now. So yeah, you're gonna sell it for fair market value. You're not losing, you're just selling it for what it's worth.
Yeah.
You have the opportunity to take that now and negotiate and get a deal.
Mhm.
You have to paint that picture.
Right. That's
So without thinking of what number he wants, based on the conversations you have, what do you realistically think? If you knew he was just willing to listen to you, what would be the number you would list it at this time? Because remember, you got a negative stigma on this house.
Yeah.
I've had this conversation with agents that sat with somebody else for 6 months, called me up, and then in 10 minutes, they're like, all right, you're already better than the agent I've been working with for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Come over here. And I said, well, you got to understand, I'm coming in round 2, right? There's already a negative stigma associated, even though you dropped your price
Yeah.
and got down to this number, people think there's something wrong with it. And then come to find out there were things. So
Yeah.
you got to overcome all of that. So again, don't think of what he wants. What would you realistically say for you? You could price it any number that would cause it to sell.
I think 1469.
Okay. So write that number down.
I did. I actually
Yeah.
wrote out the contract last night and I
Good.
put 1469.
Good. And share with him why that's what you price it at.
Mhm.
It's not what you end up with offers at. And they're all gonna say the same. What did your seller say in terms of pricing strategy? Do you remember in terms of why he wanted to start a little higher?
Cause people are gonna come in and.
People are gonna come in low.
Oh,
They're gonna
okay.
come in. They're gonna ask for repairs, so they want to pad it.
Yeah.
It's the wrong approach.
If
And then
you
you
can't do
went
that now.
into.
So Anissa, you said something that you said something that's your ammo. Regarding the other houses that were for sale, what do you think your ammo is to present to him? Why you should rush and price it at this lower price?
That loan applications are up 9%.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay,
It's
but
very
the other
good.
one.
Assumable.
The other one was assumable, loan. He knows that. already.
Okay, but you said something else about one of the other house, not that.
It has 2 offers.
Okay, what do you think is gonna happen with the other offer?
They're gonna look for something else in the neighborhood.
So why do they need to hurry
Why
up?
is there why do you need a rush to list it?
Well, cause they're gonna go to another house in the neighborhood.
You don't, yeah, exactly, you wanna get that buyer.
Yeah,
The buyer's there,
yeah,
You can rush the.
yeah,
especially if you come in at a better price.
right.
If
Right.
it's comparable now, and it is comparable, you can honestly say that house is just as equal.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not, you gotta go lower.
Yeah.
But if it is, that person's gonna go, well, shoot, I'll just buy this one now.
What's the difference between the 2 homes?
The one that's the assumable loan, it's the same model match, and actually the one that I have is a lot nicer, that one is just. It doesn't have, ours is nicer,
Okay.
but the assumable loan is what the
It's
value
attractive.
was, it was very attractive.
Because that lowers their payment.
Yeah,
It's not about the price, it's about the payment.
yeah,
So what's
The
another
payment's the most
strategy you
important thing for
could
the
have
buyer.
used instead of lowering the price?
the buyback.
Buy down the-
Buy down
You
the.
could have bought it down to the
Yeah.
same amount as that person was getting the VA for.
Right,
Probably not that low, but you can buy
yeah,
that. Yeah.
you know,
You
but
can buy.
I knew when I saw that, I was like, and
Yeah.
of course the agent didn't say that, oh, sorry, I mean, I'm like, it's because of that.
It is.
100%.
No, it's payment. It's affordability,
Yeah.
which causes the challenges,
Yeah.
but no, it's, if you listen to the way Ken asks the questions, every single situation's a puzzle like that. And you have to figure it out. And I used to draw it out like when we were prospecting, I draw out a brain just to kind of remind everybody, like, you got to figure out what's going on in their head. And you only do it by asking the questions to figure it out. Then you can figure out a plan to approach him with. So you need to come up with the best plan possible, knowing he's gonna want to come in at a higher
He
price.
is,
Because that's just how he is.
yeah,
And you say, look, I respect that. But let me share with you why we need to, you tried it twice now. It hasn't worked either time.
no,
Yeah.
You're trusting me. Yes, I've agreed with you in being at every single open house,
Yeah.
doing certain things that I know make things uncomfortable for buyers. So much of this is buyer psychology. If they see that you can't follow my lead in being at the open house, do you think that presents an easy seller to work with or a difficult seller to work with?
difficult.
Very difficult. So do we want to get in bed? And that's literally, do we want to get in a transaction and put all our eggs in one situation with this knowing that an agent can't get them to put a sign out front. And I don't know if you have a sign out front or not.
We
on this
now
one.
do.
Oh, well, good. But I'm telling you, I've said this to my clients who they were fighting me on putting a for sale sign. I said, you know what I do when I have a buyer and I see there's no for sale sign out front? Do you think I have more competition or less competition? Less. Psychologically, I already think I'm gonna win and get this at a lower price than what it's listed at.
Yeah,
Because nobody even knows in the neighborhood that the house is up for sale. Again, it's all these little things to cast the biggest net. So you got, are they following your lead or you following their lead?
yeah,
Right? And you got to get to the point, you already thought you lost it.
yeah,
You already have it, and I'm not trying to, you have to act in a way that you're detached from the outcome so that you can lead them the way they need to.
yeah.
So the thing I say is, as much as you're interviewing me, I'm interviewing you because this has consumed your time
Yeah.
for the period of time that you've been doing it.
Yeah,
And you create opportunities, but those aren't what you want him to be a happy client and you want him to get what he wants and you helped him get the job done.
yeah.
The only way that happens is if he follows your lead.
And honestly, I probably, to be honest, I did follow his lead first because I knew going in what he wanted. It was a referral, and the referral was like, hey, he wants this, he's very untrusting of agents, and I was like, okay, so I kind of felt like I had the answers to the test. So I went in and I was like, sure enough, he grilled me on this, and that, and I knew how to answer them already. And so then it came down to, I don't want to sign, I don't want to open houses. I'm like, okay, what the hell? Like, how do you want to sell your house? And so normally, if I didn't know this guy, yeah, we're putting a sign, we're this, we're that. I was able to be more of a leader. I felt like at first, I kind of took a back seat to what he wanted to get the listing. I learned. And so now we had a sign up, we had open houses. I still couldn't get him out of the chair to leave the open houses, but
He called you back.
yeah,
And now you don't have to say it's got to be everything that I do,
yeah,
but pick which ones you want. If you know he's going to be there, get him on the price.
yeah,
Price is the most important thing that's going to cause that property to sell, whether he's there or not.
yeah,
I'm just telling you, but then I get into the psychology of a buyer and a buyer's agent and the conversations we're having. And if I've had agents get upset with me because we have a camera on the beachside property, inside, video, audio inside, and the buyer who pulled out said, is that camera going to be on during our home inspection? If they're upset about it during the home inspection, which nobody should be trying to hide anything at that point, how do you think they feel if the seller's going to sit there during the home inspection,
yeah,
during the open houses? Does that create comfort? Does it create where you can visualize? No, it doesn't. He has to understand. You got to change his paradigm with
Yeah.
that. You got to understand, like, let me do my job. You trust me here, right?
yeah,
You trust that I know it. I know you want to hear everything, but I'm just sharing with you based on experience. This home that my colleague tried to sell is taken over 100 days on the market, and guess what's still in there? The camera. Because they have another home and they want to hear what's going on for safety and because they're nosy of what's happening during the transaction, right?
Let me ask.
It's not helping.
I wanna add, this whole, we gotta go late.
You got Thursday picked up.
I got to point some up though, because you're bringing up something that's important. For all of you other agents here, do you think that Anissa was benefited by her neighbor friend telling her what that seller wanted? You think she benefited by that?
No,
No. Why not?
she was hindered and she went in with a preconception of what they wanted as opposed to going in with all respect on a peer level where she could be the leader, as you said.
absolutely.
And that's our role.
Okay, so how would you, if you weren't her, and let's say you were going in there now, what question would you ask that seller?
Like, what are the most important things to you? What price would you like to get? But then when he comes back and says, I need it to be this price, she can pull out the comps.
Well, you know, the agent that was their brokerage owner was fired.
Oh, why did you fire your last?
Well, you
agent?
can't say that.
Oh,
What kind of question would you ask?
what are you looking for in this? What can I bring to the table as your next agent that you felt was lacking in your previous agent? Or what
I
kind
don't
of?
wanna say that either, because you
Okay.
don't wanna disparage someone. Go ahead, Sean.
Something along those lines.
Okay,
How'd you feel
Ron,
the last agent did? Just leave it open, let them answer if it was negative or positive.
you can say something like, in working with an agent in the past, what were the pros and cons?
Yeah, okay.
What did you like? What
What
didn't?
did you like, and what did you not like
Mm-hmm.
from the previous, in working with your previous agents? Can you tell me what were the things you liked and what you didn't like? they're gonna give you the answer. And there's psychology behind that, when they're telling you the positives, you have to shake your head. Cause now they're thinking you're that person,
Mhm.
you know, and don't say, I don't do that. That's not me. You let them speak and tell it, and they're gonna give you the answers on the pricing. Based on that and what not to do. Like, there's a reason why that guy just got fired right off the bat. And it was something you said. I personally think that guy, cause I got to meet him, being that he's a poker guy and everything, you gotta make this a competition.
Yeah,
You gotta make it seem like, hey, you wanna win?
Yeah,
it's true.
This is what they're pricing at, and this is, we gotta get, if you wanna win and be able to move on with your life, we gotta price it here.
Mm.
Or do you wanna keep playing the game and not winning?
Yeah, true.
Is it in 6 months? How much is it costing him to hold this house?
It doesn't matter about that, cause
Yeah.
he has a lot of.
it's more, yeah, that's not
It's his ego.
pressing him,
He
that's
doesn't
not,
know
motiv-
it.
it is, it's ego.
That's it.
It's ego, but it's also, so getting, back to the initial situation. So when I know, so what those are objections, right? Price is an objection. Overpricing, that's preventing, he has control over it, but it's also preventing from the home from selling. So when I know that ahead of time, it's okay if I know it ahead of time, but I have to decide whether I'm going to, again, allow that for a certain period of time
Sure.
and then get down to my price.
Mhm.
But we're gonna have that honest conversation in that initial meeting for multiple reasons. But again, I keep trying to say, as much as you're interviewing me for the job, I'm interviewing you
Yeah,
to decide whether we can work together. And it's okay if we both decide that we're not the right fit for each other. But this has to be a good relationship with open communication, to be honest at all times, whether it's what you want to hear or not want to hear. That has to come out in the conversation. And I would start off, I said, look, I appreciate you calling me back. I said, but I gotta be real with you. We do this, we gotta do it right this time.
Mhm.
And that's how you start, right? And say, so I've been giving this a lot of thought. This is what I believe we need to do to make sure that we sell your home.
Mhm.
And I will do everything I can to negotiate the best terms, but you gotta put me in position to win, for us to win, right? This is how we do it. So it's like Ken said, it's coming in with that, but you're so fixated on it.
yeah,
You're willing to lose the listing over it. You have to. You can't change that. You can't think of nothing else other than being the person. He needs to hear with that type of conviction. And I'm telling you, it's the difference. And even if you get at that price, still doesn't guarantee anything.
right.
But you got a hell of a lot better probability of it working and the right buyer coming.
Yeah.
And in reality, with that other buyer, you're gonna get that other buyer.
Yeah.
That's what you tell them. So
Yeah.
there may be a number in between, but you gotta get him off his number.
I definitely know I know the importance of reaching out to other agents that are working in your area. You have to. I mean, and I learned that from you guys, like call the other agents, see what they got. They wouldn't give me the exact, sometimes they will, sometimes they won't.
What else do they have of value? What else do they have in value?
You mean the other agents? Well, their house is pending.
What else do they have of value?
Buyer,
Maybe more than one.
yeah,
And maybe a buyer that's willing, that's why they won't give you the info.
yeah,
And that's what you tell them. Say they won't give us the info because they don't want us to underprice their properties, potentially lose their good buyer
That is
to
true.
our property.
that's why she wouldn't give me that.
That's what you tell him.
And
Then
that
guess
is-
what he wants to do? He wants to do what they're afraid of.
Yeah,
That's what I wanted you to understand.
yeah, that's true.
That's what you gotta get him
Yeah.
to discover. Then he's like, well, what price do you think we need to do?
You gotta make
This
it a
is the
game.
number.
Yeah, I was
A
gonna say that,
strategic
turn it
game.
into a game, like,
Yeah,
like teamwork and add him, like do like a plan together, but make it seem like he's, you know.
oh yeah, you have to.
Make it,
Okay.
make it
Have to let him
but actually you're
realize
come up with a
Yeah.
plan, but do it together.
Yeah, that's very true, thank you.
Yeah, go in there and say, this is the information I got.
To leave
Yeah.
the open house,
Jeez.
all you need is one. If you price it right, hopefully it's just that first
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
But I know we gotta wrap it up. Thank you guys, for any questions, I guess, before we wrap up. Any things you guys wanna say, any things about this? We never will get into all of it, but we get into as much as we can. Yes, no, don't.
CMA,
Mhm.
we don't put actives on there.
I do sometimes, but I try to keep it focused on this.
Okay, but
Right.
maybe do you do a separate
I do.
sheet of just actives and
Mhm.
you feel that you're maybe not getting what you want, do you show them, you know, if we price it at this price, this is where you're gonna be with these
I do.
6 properties or whatever?
So this is my must-haves, right? Then I have backup collateral as well. Did I have a list of one-line report of all the actives?
He did, and
What else did I have?
he had the full cloud CMA as well, and we didn't even get into it. They knew everything. He knew everything that was out there.
You already knew those comps, but I don't know because I didn't have the conversation with them. But I can't be caught without not knowing. Then I lose that where I had it, I lost it, like Ken talks about, when you fall out of rapport and you fall out of that trust because now you're not the expert anymore. They know something that you don't know. So you got to be, you're preparing for the hardest test and you got to be ready to go. And you got to know everything that you can. And that's what he was like, how do you memorize that stuff so quickly? And I said, it's not, when you understand again that foundation, you remember the pillars, when you have a strong foundation, learning the nuances are very easy. It's a lot easier because I know what I need to know. I need to know average days on market. I need to know list price for sold price. I need to be able to show. That's why I'm talking about the market, where it is, where it's at, and where it's heading. When he sees that graph going down as an analytical, and he sees that it was at 100% list price for sold price, now it's at 95% in this month, and he's asking me, well, why did Tina's sell 3 months ago at 890 and you're unsure if we'll get 890 here? Remember I said that? And he was pressing me like, well, wait a minute. Your average days on market shows 12 days. Why are you concerned? I said, look at this part. I said, when she sold it, it was at almost like 97, 98%. I said, now we're showing the average sale is 5% less than the list price. That's a 3% difference. At 900,000, how much is that? $27,000. That's why I'm still scared at 980. I'm still, because I've done it. But it's a single family home, detached, completely remodeled in a good neighborhood. It'll get it. You're at the high part of pricing it, but you're at the sweet spot, right? But again, going off old comps, that's what most agents do. You got to be better than that. Yes.
Yeah. Short answer.
No, you're
So
okay.
you're talking about.
It's never a short answer.
So-
Go ahead. Anybody knows me, knows it. 15 minutes. Yes,
I don't want to.
I'll try my best.
But the sweet spot, what do you look at? Like, there's a lot of things that you need to look at when you determine the sweet spot of the price.
Right.
So what would be like the top things that you're looking at?
The things that I'm looking at, but the market trends is important, especially over the last few months. And in this market right now, so I want to know the total active homes. How many active homes were in Moorpark on that day?
58. It was 61, but I looked right in the morning.
Maybe
It was like,
50.
yeah.
So 61 roughly active homes was the day before. So 61 actives. Do you remember roughly how many pending was going on at that time?
I want to say around 30.
20.
20.
It was about a third, right? So not even half. A third of the actives went pending. And then, do you know, sold the
Around
month
20.
before? About 20. That trend's dropping. So it's like maybe at 18 solds the month before, right? So that starts painting the picture again that you want to be the competitive. If there's 10 homes for sale, and I say this all the time, we want to be the number 1 or the number 2 most value based on price and condition. What's going to look like a highlighter in that active range? When we print out the actives, that's a separate sheet if I need to get to it. Usually when I got them under this hypnosis, that's what happens through. We get in the same spot. They start saying, yeah, what do you think for price? Where are we going? I don't have the resistance. Not that he may have felt early on the phone call where he's telling me like he wants 925, right? And it's nothing that he didn't do. It's because I've had a chance now to get him to do in phase 1, which is choose me. And I didn't say how great I was. When I asked all the questions about, what are your expectations in an agent? And I asked him, and then I asked her, right? Husband and wife. And we're hearing the answer. Did you ever hear me say, oh yeah, I do all those things, right? When he asked me the question about marketing, again, whoever asked the questions is in control. He asked me, so what do you get? First question was, so how would you describe this property? Like on your listing description, how would you describe it? I've never had anybody ask me that at a listing presentation. And I kept it short and sweet. I said, well, it'd probably be similar to how Tina listed hers just up the street, single family home, ranch style home. Ranch style, what does that mean? It's the most desirable model nationally And I learned this from doing the MRP on the different style homes. They have Tudor homes. They have all these different style homes. The ranch style home is the most popular out of all of them. That's what they have. The homes that I sold 200,000 over asking price and others were single family homes, one level, a true single story home. So we're going to emphasize that. We're going to say next to great schools, things like that. But I'm having to do this on the spot. So who's in control when he asked me that question, me or him? He was. I gave him the power and I started just answering, right? Then he did it again. He said, so what are you going to do in terms of marketing? What did I do?
You asked him what he was looking for as far as marketing goes.
That's the best way to handle an objection, right? So he says, what are you going to do in terms of marketing? My response is, what are you looking for in marketing? Very calm, not like I'm concerned. I want to hear him out. Well, I'm thinking, what did he say? What was the one thing that stood out that was different that he may not have said that he knew he wanted for his property?
The aerial.
Aerial, bingo. He said, professional photos, aerial, and that's all he really cared about. He didn't even say much, and I gave him my plan of action is when I'm going to list the home, we're going to take the photos, get professional photos, it's going to paint it in the best light, it's going to look amazing. That's going to hit. Ideally, we'll do photos on Monday, have them by Tuesday, put it on the open market by Tuesday. We'll do broker caravan. What's caravan? That's a whole conversation and discussion of why that's important. Creates the buzz. The value is the buzz. That's another word. How do I increase that buzz, that desirability? That's the value. These are things I'm going to talk about during the listing presentation because that's what they want. They want somebody who's going to not just list a home on the internet and wait for it to sell, but how are you going to market it, right? He also wanted somebody with a strong network in the area of homes that are off market, as well as a strong network of people who have buyers that are going to sell the property. The two agents were against because he got their names. We're both located an hour or Santa Clarita. Both agents in Santa Clarita.
Wow.
So you think that's an advantage for us?
Yes.
Huge advantage. We didn't have to say all the other things, but what we did say is we got an amazing office with over 40 agents here in Camarillo. We're less than 15 minutes away. Sean lives right up the street. I forgot paperwork. He took the printed paperwork and dropped it off right after, right? Instantly. Do you know how powerful that is versus somebody who's driving an hour out?
Yeah.
This is how you separate yourself from the competition. This is how you get them to choose me. And then there's the last thing I'm going to finish because I have to close it out with this temperature gauge. What did I do when I got to a good point? When we got to a good point with them, what was the question that I asked both of them that was able, and I can't do this too early. I got to do it when I believe they're going to be ready to tell us how they feel about everything. What did I ask them?
You asked on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that we can sell your home or that we can do what we need to do for you, basically?
To represent you. I said a scale 1 to 10, 10 being 100% confident, 1 being 10% confident. Where are you at in terms of us representing you for the sale of your home? And then you stop. You don't give them an out. You let them be uncomfortable, be quiet. It was, right?
Because he looked at her.
What did he do?
He wanted her to answer.
He did what any husband would do and looked at his wife and was like, you answer this right now. He didn't want to do it, right? He chickened out. He didn't want to show his cards. He looks at her, which actually helped us because he put the pressure on her. And she was the real decision maker, even though he's acting like he's controlling, he understands everything, he knows it all. She is the one who picked us and decided that she wanted us to represent her as the professionals. And what did she say? Do you remember her response?
Yeah, she said 10.
And but how she didn't just say 10. How did she say it? Like full context?
Oh,
I told you it was gonna be a long answer to your question. It's a whole training session just off it.
I mean,
You gotta hear the details, man. This is, and being a pro at this, it's how well you listen. It's getting to a comfortable spot where you can be present, fully present when you ask questions and hear every detail. And I don't hear very good out of my right ear. So I really have to focus. And if you ever watch, my eyes go towards lips. I'm reading mouths. I'm reading what they're saying. I'm reading body language. I'm reading what they say. I hear it, but I have to hear it to the details. And what she said was, it would be a 10. I feel that you're obviously professional, that I can trust you, right? She's like, I'm just feeling, is it normal? I just feel overwhelmed. I feel overwhelmed because we're selling a home and we haven't found the unicorn property. These are the exact details of what she's saying of the home that we want to get. Is that normal to feel that way? I said, yes, it is normal to feel that way. But what I can promise you, what did I say? I can promise you.
Is that once you make that decision, that home will show up.
I said very close to what he just said there. I said, my own sister-in-law and brother-in-law felt the same way and wouldn't just list the home and do a rent back. So we talked about the different options. This is a whole nother training we'll get into. We talked about those options. I said they didn't feel comfortable just listing the home as a standard sale and trusting that the right home would come up. So I promise you, one, that you're going to get the perfect home. The other thing I promise you is that we are going to protect you and make sure that you're not forced to sell this property without you finding the perfect home or having a time. Is that okay? That's what she wanted to hear. So even though it was a 10, she still wouldn't have committed because she was feeling overwhelmed by that. If I don't ask the question, I never hear what's going on in their head. And before that, I asked that question, would you feel that you felt pretty good about how everything went up until that point?
Yeah.
And then what was the question you asked me? And you can put me on the spot now because I've done it with you plenty of times. So it's your turn to do it with me. What did you ask me after we wrapped it all up?
Like at dinner?
Yeah.
I asked if you ever get nervous.
Oh, well, you asked that too. But what was the other part that you asked? You remember you said, why didn't you?
Oh, why didn't I asked why you didn't try to push for the close to sign the paperwork?
Does anybody have an idea why I didn't do that?
She's already overwhelmed and she's already said, yes, she would like to work with you, but it would be, you're putting her best interests first to not overwhelm her with one extra thing. And she's going to really appreciate that when it does come to sign.
The most powerful thing, one of the most powerful thing I've learned from one of my mentors is persuasion is much more long lasting than manipulation. Okay. Manipulation, maybe I could have closed them and got them to sign it right then and there. Maybe she would have freaked out over the weekend and ripped that contract out. Because I wanted to increase my chances as much as I can and lead, but I also pulled out all these kind of little subtle tricks and things that I do in this presentation that I've learned over time, that I do things and I say like, look, the listing agreement is just you choosing who you want to work with. At the end of the day, if you feel that we're not doing our job, we'll rip the contract out. We're not going to hold you to something and hold you hostage to this listing, but I'm also having confidence that they're going to price it the way I'm telling them to price it. You get what I'm saying? And I know how, because that's what they're afraid of. And I've had this come up many times after doing like the best presentation I can give. And they're like, well, you said all the right things. How do I know you're going to do what you do? So in different times, I've showed them my stats. Said, okay, these are the last ones I sold in the last 12 months. That's also what we did in comparing it with the other two. But I didn't just roll the other two under the bus. Just showed them mine and kept it at that so they can see that I've done what I say I've done, right? To establish that I'm the expert. By the end of it, because I knew they still had a couple more calls, so it's like, all right, just so you know, shared with me that these are the other two that you're interviewing, and I put it out and I looked and they're like, wow. And they saw the difference between the production that we had versus what we're up against. Who do you look at as that? This isn't to scare you all in thinking that this is what happens. Rarely happens. Again, learn this at a Mike Ferry Superstar retreat that I've gone to 6, 7 of them. I've spent thousands of dollars to see the best of the best in the world, how they present, how they compete, and why their conversion is at 95%. You don't need that to do it. It's just another trick. But at the end of the day, you got to know your competition so you're better prepared for that presentation. Okay. Don't be worried about stats. Don't be worried. You can use, and just so you know, just like Sean did, you can use stats of the office and the agents in this office as being a part of the team. We did this, right? We did these things. And they're not looking it up to double check it. So don't be afraid about it. They typically won't look up Zillow. They won't look, some will, but most won't. So work on that, but don't stress. Probably shouldn't share that detail because I don't want to end it on a scared note. Yes.
But I just want to say too, like, we didn't leave the paperwork and then I emailed it to them and they didn't sign it right away and I was a little nervous about it. And Brandon said
A little nervous.
and I called Brandon the next day and texted him. He calls me. It's like, don't worry, we got this. Like they're already all in.
Good
Just
job.
give them their space. and I did, and they ended up signing up yesterday, so.
Yeah, thank you for reminding of that, but it's, I'm not trying to teach you to not close. You gotta read the situation. She had literally her babies. She had her 6-month-old baby.
Yeah,
Her oldest, which was 6, looking straight at us, and it's like, I'm not gonna, even though I know I can, I don't need to do it. And I wanted to show them. I wanted to show them, and we'll talk about the ultimate close, 3 no's, 3 yeses, different ways you can do it. I didn't feel it was necessary, and I felt confident that we gave them everything that I could offer, that you could offer as a group in terms of being prepared, showing them how we work. Now it's up to them to decide. And it's trusting that, again, persuasion's long lasting. And then we followed up the next day, not the hard pressure close, but a verbal close. And I, did ask just in terms of, so what are your thoughts? So I didn't get into, are you going to work with us? Have you interviewed everybody? I just open-ended question. So, hey, just following up with you. And then he's like, Brandon's here with me. Yeah, do you mind sharing what your thoughts are? They're already closing themselves now. They're like, well, we just had these questions about something with the numbers. We assured them with the numbers. And it's like, okay, that's what we wanted to hear. Wife and husband are both chiming in, saying they're going to work with us. Cool. We're going to send you the paperwork. Didn't send the listing agreement because if we have that signed, what do we have to do?
Give them copies immediately.
notify the MLS.
Notify the MLS, which starts, you have to do it within 48 hours, right?
That's what you call
And
it.
so that was scary, like, how do we do this? Well, what did we send them?
We came up with the way to write it in.
Right, but what agreement was it?
The BRPC.
The buyer rep agreement, we tied the two together, right? So we had them sign the buyer rep agreement, which is good for 90 days. That ties the listing and the purchase together in the other terms. So even though technically we don't have a signed listing agreement, we do have a signed buyer rep agreement that only gives them the benefit if they work with us on both the listing and purchase, right? But they still took a while to sign that, and they just signed it and sent it. And I saw it. I thought you were gonna like text me or something.
I was thinking about it, but then I was like, he probably already knows.
No, I did see it, but I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's cool to see. And it's every single person in here is gonna do it. You're all gonna do it. You need help. She's a pro. I mean, we have Anissa, we have so much talent in here. Don't be shy and don't get caught up. Yes, everybody needs to pay their bills now. Everybody needs to do it. But know when it can help to bring in a helping hand that can help secure that, because there's so much good that's going to come from this client for him. This is his client. There's so much good that's going to come from him, not just all the people he's connected with baseball. They have a home to sell and buy. What can he get off the listing? What can he get off this listing that's going to have his sign up in a Moorpark neighborhood, great neighborhood? What does that do for Sean?
Visibility.
It shows that somebody trusted him
In that area.
and hired him. The hardest thing to do is to take a listing. That means you're competing against all the other agents and they sign with you. Now, a challenging thing to do is get a buyer rep agreement signed. That's just as good as a listing agreement. Just as good. You got to convince somebody to sign a contract that they pick you, especially if it's exclusive, and ours is exclusive, right? They're saying, this is my agent for the 3 months. So when you do that, but he also could do what when he lists the property, Leslie? And he's working open houses and he's knocking the neighborhood and he's doing what can come from that listing?
You need more listings.
More listings, what else?
More buyers.
More buyers, more everything. He actually has inventory now that is his, right? He has something that people are gonna want. And they can call him up and say, hey, this could be their dream house. And they can come up to Sean and say, Sean, this has happened. If you give me this house, I'll list my home with you and purchase this property. This listing could lead to more listings, more buyers, more opportunities if you work it the way that you should work it, which you're going to do. And you're going to make the most out of it. And you treat this family like gold. My very first client, which was a listing, I did 5 transactions with. That makes sense? That's what we're going to do. Hey, well, you're back just in time. We're going to start our next session. All
Yeah.
right, let's wrap it up, guys. Thank you. And we got Jeff here. You guys got any questions, Jeff? Rates looking good, man. You got some great news for us, right?
Rates are great.
Rates are great.
Rates are great.
Rates are great. Jeff's great.
What's the number?
He keeps that a secret.
You know, FHA's low 5. it's getting down, you know?